Hi everyone, we've just caught you just as you are getting disinterested in Netrunner with all the horrible horizontal decks coming out with new spoilers for Mumbad Pack for Salsette Island. But first, let's do a reflection on the previous pack. This time joining me for my review is Tagore. Hi Tagore, how you
Hi,
doing?
Ben. I'm good.
Okay. Uh, okay, so as we mentioned, what do you think of the previous pack?
Well, I think it's the most miserable pack they've released in a while. It basically enabled this very, very uninteresting IG deck that, you know, is a very low skill deck, but is an absolute pig to play against. It's a high lock, low skill, random deck that it's just not fun. Like it takes all the fun bits of Netrunner and throws it out the window. And I mean, to me, it's just not something I want to play as or against.
Kicking off this video with a lot of salt. Love it. Yeah.
Salt is the best.
Yep, bioethics and Mumbad City Grid certainly didn't help matters. What do you think about the runner side, however? Pollock Councilman?
Well, I think Pop and Councilman are much needed answers to Caprice. Um, but I'm not even sure they're very good answers to Caprice.
Yeah, and they don't do much against IG, do they?
And they don't do much against any. Well, at least Polyp doesn't do a huge amount against any age.
Yeah.
Uh, but Councilman can be very annoying against any age.
Alright, so let's see if Pack 4 can salvage this situation. We'll be reviewing all the cards in Salsette Island, starting from a couple of what you can call basic cards. Cards that give you draw and more credits. Let's start with the Anarch one. This is making an entrance. It's a priority event, and it allows you to look at the top 6 cards of your deck, trash any number of them. Seems pretty okay.
Well, I mean, it's basically a card selection card. I think the most obvious use of making an entrance is in Max because it allows you to, for the next 2 turns, set up your draws and your discard. So you make sure you draw the card you need and you discard the card you don't need. So
Hmm.
it's very good in Max.
That's a very good synergy you point out. But the question is it really needed? Because you already have so much good draw, and you have to play I've had worse for meat protection and net protection. Do you really want to bloat your deck with this?
Probably not. I mean, it's not actually draw after all. Um,
That's true. That's a very good
it
point.
is not draw. It is a card. It is basically precog. Um, in runner.
And we all know how often precog is played.
Yeah, and this is even worse because you have to play it as your first click. I mean, to be fair, you can get rid of cards with making an entrance, and you can't with precog. But honestly, I don't. It's okay. I mean,
Well, to me, I think because Anarchs already have the best draw engine in the entire game, which is wild kicks. This allows you to find your wild kicks that much faster. So it's actually a pretty decent replacement for Peddler Inject if you're already playing those cards.
no, I still think you'd probably just rather play Inject or even Peddler compared over making an entrance because those actually dig you the cards right now. And this one still requires you to take extra actions. I th-
Yeah, that's kind of true too. Hmm. Yeah, and you do lose the instant speed ability of Peddler, which is really good. You
yeah.
might be right. Yeah, okay. I guess it'll stay in the binder
But
then.
I don't think it's amazing.
Yeah, it's okay. But yeah, it basically competes with a lot of cards. Like you won't play this over Wild Cakes or I've had worse. It's really competing with the Inject or the Peddler slot, and that's quite a tough sell.
Yeah.
Okay, what about the blue one? Not much better, I think. It's a cantrip, except that it's not a cantrip because it costs you a click to play. You will always draw 1 card, and you gain only 1 credit for each copy you have in your heat. Which means that if you play all 6 of them in your deck, if you even find all 6 of them, you get 15 extra credits. That's not a lot.
No, I mean you just rather run hedge funds or sort of dirty laundries and sure gambles because those get you 4 credits guaranteed. And this one, I mean, this one will get you a card, but I don't know. It's just not worth 6 deck slots.
Yeah, yeah, that's a very good
And
point.
the first 3 copies are kind of just meh. Like it's amazing when you get to the end of your deck, but you're not getting to the end of your deck in Crim.
pretty much. And yeah, when you need the money the most, as you said early on, you're not getting the money. Um, is there a deck that would recur this, like Deja Vu or Same Old Thing or something, just so that you can get lots of mileage out of the last one or two copies?
No. I mean, maybe you could use it in max, but then that's just like your 6th.
Yeah, that's a lot of it. Yeah, so that's quite a pity. Two cards that try to show up the basic card and click credit uh, engines of of runners, but they don't really do all that much.
I mean, if the first exclusive party gave you credit, then it might actually be worth considering. Because then it's a cantrip with upside. But the first one doesn't.
Yeah, at that point you're probably better off just discarding it straight
Yeah.
into the bin. Well, that's sad. Well, moving on. We have one of the spoiled cards, recently spoiled, that's Salsette Slums. It's in the red faction, and it allows you to exile cards that you pay the trash cost while installing. Anti-IG tag, there we go.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's a 2 influence Anarch card, which means it will probably see no play in any other faction. Uh, I mean, it's a good card. It'll probably hurt. It'll probably see a fair amount of play in Wizard. Maybe one. Sorry, maybe two. Almost certainly one copy. Just because as an anti-IG hoser, it's amazing. Unfortunately, the fact that it's a 2 influence Anarch card means that the already influence type Crims can't afford to play this, and the modern Shaper, which is still importing most of its economy, isn't going to be able to play this. So it's just strengthening Anarch, and makes double forks even more of a no-brainer for regionals.
Yeah, I mean, Anarchs are not tier 1 right now, so definitely need all the help they can get.
Yeah.
Well,
Poor
I
man.
don't even know if it's that good in Anarch. Firstly, it's not tutorable. It's a location, it's a CD, it's not tutorable. And more importantly, it doesn't do much against any other matchup. I mean, trashing a Jackson is nice, I guess.
I don't know. I mean, I think it's pretty good against any age because if you can trash a what you mean, not just Jackson, but like a CVS, and CVSs are a massive pain in the butt.
Well, the thing is, I've tried running Archives interface in Double Fox, and I just wish I didn't play it when I did
Yeah. But
find
the
it
thing is,
useful.
Archives interface forces you to run into something. This is you just run into something as a part of your natural turn structure. I.e., if you're doing a big medium dig, you can play Salsette Slums, and then you can just get rid of stuff as part of your medium runs rather than having to take time out to go dig through archives.
Yeah, I suppose. And it does turn off in turns in the Caprice matchups. When you
Oh yeah,
do
Killing
trash.
Caprice is amazing. It's great.
Yeah, but I'm still not completely sold by it.
I mean, it's a very powerful effect.
Yeah, it kind of almost shuts down IG single-handedly, which is really nice.
I hope so. I don't want to see IG at my goddamn regional.
Well, you don't have a choice, my friend.
Uh,
Welcome to Modern
I will,
Netrunner.
I will DQ every IG player at the London regional. Of course.
For those of you who don't know, Tagore is going to be your judge at London Regional. So you heard
Yeah,
that?
you're not allowed to. If you play Anarch, I will use any excuse I can to show that fucking with the system is not a good idea.
Well.
Also, don't try to ID under my nose.
That we can make a whole other video about that. That opens a whole can of worms. Anyway, it's worth noting that Salsette Slums is not unique, and it can only be triggered once per turn, so you can stack multiple of these against IG and just go on a big trashing spree.
Yeah.
Although I don't think you play more than one copy of it, maybe
I
two.
don't think you have the money to do that, but okay.
Yeah, that too. Also note, it doesn't synergize with Imp. You have to pay the trash cost, which is awful.
I mean,
Because
it basically is an asset upgrade hit card, which is nice because operations kind of suck right now.
yeah, but the thing is, it empowers Wizard at the expense of all other Anarchs. Like Wizard needed more help.
Yeah.
Oh well. Welcome to Netrunner. Next, we have Diva. Oh my gosh, why? Why?
It's a standard thing now, right? Giving criminal bad cards.
I mean, yeah, Crim's had that time in the limelight for 2 or 3 years, so now they can never have the limelight ever again.
Yeah, it's very, very depressing. I mean, I don't think any of the Davies are good, but this is definitely by far the worst.
I mean, this is just sticking the middle finger in Criminal's face. Like, okay, let's make it 6 costs because we like to make jokes.
Yeah, because it's gonna cost more than the other ones, and it's gonna be suckier than the other ones.
Yeah, it's almost like a reference to Leviathan. I don't know which one's worse, to be honest.
I mean, to be fair, this is a sort of effect that really would have been very, very powerful if they hadn't balanced it properly. So, just being able to break loads and loads and loads of Ender Run Ice for very cheap is there's binary ender being able to break loads of binary ender run ice for very cheap is actually really powerful. So it's good that they actually made sure that it's not going to completely turn off rush, but it is still pretty bad and it's very restrictive, and I'm not sure I'll ever play it.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest problem criminals have right now with their breaking high strength code gates. This helps because high strength code gates tend to have only one set routine, but it's so inefficient and it's so expensive.
I mean, Peacock is still like you just still rather run Peacock against Toll Booth.
Yeah, and Peacock actually gets past the Turing, which hilariously enough this doesn't.
Oh yeah, because it's an AI.
So sad.
It is
Just pathetic.
it's slightly better against Archangel than Peacock by one,
Uh,
but
well, the Peacock costs you 3 to install. This costs you
so
6.
you need to run 3 times to make up that one Archangel.
Pretty much, yeah.
No, I don't think it's worth running.
Nope. If anything, you run it out of faction. Nope. Nope, you wouldn't either.
No, you just run Atman or Shaper or Faust
David. Yeah, pretty
or
much.
that.
So, well, good knowing you. Back to Binary Fodder you go. Next. Oh yeah, and this is just a side-by-side comparison. Agora has not come out yet. But yeah, this is basically the entire Diva suite in a nutshell, and I think you agree with me that there isn't an archetype that wants these as their breakers.
I mean, Sadio Jata is probably the best of them, I think. Just because it helps show up a lot of Shaper's weaknesses. So Shaper does not like Itchy, and Sadio Jata is very good against Itchy because it's not great, but it's an in-faction answer to Itchy that doesn't cost the moon.
Now that's the problem, you see. All of them are only as efficient as Corroder. And well, sure, Corroder is the gold standard, but you're fighting against Ether and Faust, both of which have the same base strength, both of which are installed much more cheaply and don't need swapping, which costs a lot of money, by the way. No,
Yeah.
why would you do this?
But I mean, it basically means you don't have to run Atman and Shaper anymore if you want to. Like it means you can just run Sajujata as your big sentry breaker, and you don't have to take tempo hit to install Atman. I know. I'd probably still rather run Atman over this thing, but
Yeah, Atman is just so much more flexible and it saves you money in the long run because Atman at 4 saves you 2 credits every time you want to pump to break an ice.
sure. But what if you need to break, say, if they start stacking assassins and itchies?
Well,
That's like, I mean, I still don't think Sajujata is incredibly playable, but I think it's definitely worth considering just because of the flexibility it gives you. And yeah,
fair enough. But yeah, you wouldn't play all these divas together.
no, I don't think that. I know they all break a different type of ice, but I'm not 100% sure that the other divas are worth playing.
Yeah, they are not, and they do cause influence to import.
Yeah.
And yeah, there are just a lot of problems. If you take any sort of damage, you disrupt your diva combo because the divas in your hand are now in the bin, and they don't work with. They are not considered installed when you swap them, so it doesn't work with
Okay. Well,
Shahrazad or Tech Writer.
So I mean, to be honest, I don't. I just think the swapping divas around is just a gimmick, and I don't think you should ever seriously consider it because the 2 credits to just swap something around. You're better off just goddamn installing another one.
You know, it would be a lot more interesting if it was 0 credits to swap. I wish they made it that way.
Yeah, I mean, it might actually be worth splashing if it was zero credits to swap.
Yeah, and there's actually more incentive to play damage. I mean, as if that wasn't enough already with IG, but it'll add a very interesting dimension to the game. Instead, we have all these super underpowered cards.
Yeah.
Ah, what a pity. Just go play. Basically, moral of the story: just play Eater of House instead. They
Boo.
accomplish with one card what these take 3 cards to accomplish, and influence. Sadly. Alright, here's another breaker. It's Brahman. And it's an AI breaker again, so don't think of breaking Turing with this. However, it is pretty efficient because it starts at base 3 strength. And it breaks 2 ice subroutines for 1 credit, like Mongoose. The main downside is it costs 2 memory, and you need to bounce a non-virus program to the top of your stack after you break each ice.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the big deal.
It is.
And the two to pump isn't something to laugh at either. There's enough big eyes to make, Brahman really annoying.
You play this in conjunction with David, obviously, because this can bounce David. So in effect, you actually can cover every single ice in the game, except
Huh.
Turing and Swordsman.
Oh, so you're actually literally just using this as a David recursion engine. That's quite
Exactly.
The problem is, if you don't have a David out, this becomes a huge liability. And the thing is, most of the cards you want to bounce, cards with like cool to play effect, cards, or even cards that are just cheap, like Data Sucker and Cash and all that, they are viruses.
Yeah, Cash is the main one, really. Cash, if this worked with Cash, you
Oh,
could.
it'll be completely fucking broken. Don't even pretend it's not. Like,
Haley will be playing Cash, David, Brahman all day, every day. It'll be so good.
oh yeah, it'll be ridiculous.
And of course, it'll be ridiculous in noise as well for obvious reasons.
Right.
But yeah, the very fact that you can't use this with Cash makes it substantially
It's
worse.
very sad. Much sad.
Yeah, I've been trying to think of a way to make this work because honestly, a strength base 3 strength breaker, as we saw from Lady, is already very good. Not to mention this is AI. I what you if you think of a deck with Charizard Tag Writer, you could actually just keep recurring 0 cost install programs like Parisia,
Some Sue.
yeah, and just draw them with Proco if you're in Haley. I'm not sure if that actually works, but it might be something.
Okay.
Uh, it's probably you're still probably better off playing Flying Comedians though.
Huh. Yeah.
Alright.
Also, this is two mem as well, which is
Oh yes. That's not the biggest deal actually. Now that I think of it, unless you are running Opus, because your entire breaker suite is literally just Brahman, David, and a comedian, I suppose.
well, but it also means that if you ever use this to break, you have to bounce something. So you need lots of programs installed to actually bounce.
That's true as well, I guess.
Because
Yeah.
that's what otherwise they can just lock you out with the 4 eyes deep server because you can't get past 4 eyes because you don't have enough programs to bounce.
Yeah, that's a good point. Didn't think of that. Yeah. Well, yep. So that's a bit too much work needed to make this work.
Yeah. I mean,
Uh,
this is the sort of card that I think AIs should be. Like, it should have it's fine to have AIs in the game, but they should be restrictive and they have to have big drawbacks. Otherwise, there's no reason to play regular breakers.
I don't know. To be fair, this is actually kind of scary design space in my opinion because now the designers have to note that they cannot print 0 cost programs that give you money, for example, or give you card draw when installed.
Well, I don't think they're going to do that anyway, but okay.
They probably won't, but it's something to keep in mind because it could
Yeah.
make this breaker totally broken.
Sure.
Yeah. Alright. The green version of sec testing. What do you think?
I'd rather run sec testing.
Well, yeah. I mean, I read this and then I started thinking about it. Then I realized this was not so much a sec testing as a wild side. It's just wild side re-theme in green. It's completely the same.
Yeah, I can see that.
3 influence, 3 to play, and it steals a click. Except that it's that is optional. However, you need an empty server.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not as flexible. I mean, it's more flexible than wild side, but the corp can also play around it much better.
Yes.
And it does play, though it also does play well with any sort of run effects such as dirty laundry.
And that's where I think it's the biggest sin,
But that's
because you are not going to get run effects in Shaper.
yeah.
I
At
mean,
least
that
not
is
run effects that you get run effects, but just they are generally access or access replacement effects.
yeah, that's true.
Stuff like Maker's Eye or Escher that you want to actually happen.
Yeah, I mean, they have been trying to print a couple of those right now, like Da Vinci, I think, but those are borderline unplayable.
No, Patron's just too expensive for what it does. If it costs one, maybe even two, I think it'd be fine. But for three, yeah, nah, just run diesels or something.
Yeah, yeah, that's the other thing. They have a lot of good
Yes,
competition in faction.
Shaper already has the second best card draw in Runner, and this is just not it. If it was in Crim, I'd probably play it, but it's 3 inches in
Oh
four.
man, this would be so playable if it was in blue.
Oh yeah, you just you can just run some ridiculous. Yeah, like in Andy, just drop this, and then every time you hit archives, you get sucker, you get credit, and you get two cards.
Oh man, that
It'll be
is
so much better than John Masanori.
yeah. This is actually pretty ridiculous if it costs no info crim. Yep. But you wouldn't splash this in crim. They need your
No, it's too
influence.
much. They actually need the input for breakers.
Actually, I don't know. Mm, yeah, I don't know. Maybe. All right. Something interesting here. The whole reason why they printed this consumer grade hardware in the first place. When you install a piece of hardware, you may install another one from your drip.
I mean,
Love it.
this is funny because it actually allows you to continue chaining.
Yeah,
So,
it's a very cute card.
unfortunately, I don't think it's good. I mean, there's very few hardwares that you want multiple copies in play at the same time, and those are things would be like things like RNDI, and you generally don't want to be playing two RNDI into the same turn because it's very expensive.
That is true. Yeah. Um, yeah. Interesting note. You could make use of personal workshop and Steam hack and that stuff to make it cheaper
Hmm.
because this can trigger during a run. But
Yeah. Okay. Fine.
that's kind of stretching it. What else is there?
The fact that you have to have all these in hand when you do it is just very painful as well.
Yes, that is the biggest
And
problem.
you have to see the bazaar first because, yeah,
Yeah, you have to have
because
both
you
copies
need
in your
it.
hand. Yep.
Not a huge fan. To be
Yeah. The way to get around this and what this card seems to be begging is to use Replicator in conjunction with it. So you tutor your hardware at the same time and then you install it while you're doing so.
Right now, you have a 6 card deck spaces dedicated to setting up this combo, and I'm not even sure there's any hardware that's worth running so many copies of.
There is it's Spy Camera if you run it in Geist. Unfortunately, you probably don't want to be importing replicators into Geist.
Yeah.
So yeah, at the end of the day, you are still right. It's a lot of janky parts, and hardware won't win you games. Like a full program deck might win you games, full event deck might win you games, but hardware, nope, not
Yeah,
today.
hardware's definitely a support role.
Yeah. Um, yeah. And yeah, I guess that's how it's supposed to be. Anyway, the consumer grade hardware are just woefully under the power curve, so that will probably be the main reason why you won't see much of this.
Hmm.
I mean, it's kind of like Inside Man if you think about it. Inside Man is 3 install resource, gives you 2 recurring credits to install hardware. 2 recurring credits is pretty good, at least it was back in the day, but no one
Yeah,
wants to play
yeah,
a bunch of hardware.
and you have to see it before you see the hardware, so it's
Yeah.
painful.
So
And
basically, yep.
unlike with say prepaid voice pad, where you'd have a levy, so it doesn't matter if you see the prepaid later. If you after you levy, you'll get the other card back, and you can still play them for money. With hardware, they stay at the board when you play them.
Yep, and you won't. Yeah, Levy doesn't do anything. Yeah. So basically, this is your click saving card for installing hardware, just as how Starlight Crusade funding is for playing doubles, and they're both pretty bad.
I mean,
For
think of this as a worse Haley, basically.
there we go. Okay. So far, not many good cards. What about this one? Sports Hopper. One link, draw 3 cards.
So this is the Plastic Carapace replacement. It doesn't look
right.
like it because it doesn't say prevent damage. But the fact that you can trigger it in the middle of a run, sorry, in the middle of the opponent's turn, means it basically allows you to buffer 3 damage. I mean, it's actually much better than Plasma because it also stops you from dying to net.
Yep.
So the 3 cards is pretty good. Yeah, the 3 card prevent net prevent me is actually really good. And the link isn't entirely useless. No, it's good. I mean, it'll probably see play, to be honest, especially in Crim. Just because uh, in Crim, pay 3 to draw 3 isn't awful.
Hmm.
Um, and it does double duty as both draw and protection.
Yep. I mean, it's really interesting because imagine if Flask Creed was printed with one link. The fact that link is more ubiquitous means that, yeah, you evaluate ice differently. Caduceus will become a lot less good once this starts seeing play.
Yeah, well, I mean, Caduceus wouldn't see much play anyway, just because, um, well, no one plays Wayland anymore. But
Poor Wayland.
poor Wayland. But this is also really good because there's a lot of really annoying new NBN eyes that has ridiculously high link for how much they cost. So stuff like, Turnpike, yeah,
Archangel,
Archangel, um,
Gutenberg.
Gutenberg, and Resistor. So these cards all have ridiculously high link. And the one doesn't look like it'll help that much. But if you have multiple of these in play, that will help a lot.
Yep. It is not unique, so you can stack up both the draw and the link.
Yeah.
Speaking of the draw, as you mentioned, criminals could make use of this if only because all the rest of the infraction draw is pretty crap. For guys, it's draw 4 cards, so it's almost a quality time.
If it's guys with Tech Trader, it's pay 3, gain 3, pay 3, gain 6, draw 4.
Yeah, now things start getting juicy, don't they?
It's good in Geist.
I think it's a 3 off auto include in Geist.
Which is like the totally thematic because Geist is criminal and now he has this really cool sports car.
The funny thing is I don't understand the flavor. Does it crash when you draw 3 cards? What happens? Does it blow up or something?
I think you just sell it to get you show it off and I don't know, get some, I don't know, something.
Eh. I'll have to give a C for that flavor. Right. Yeah, speaking of which, we need C and S to review our cards as well.